Hey everyone, this season, don't just watch the games, win them with Pez'sPicks.com. Don't take my word for it. Listen to the man himself.
Thank you, Jeff. This is Pez. After years of giving away our picks on Instagram and beating the house, we've launched Pez's Premium Picks, an exclusive data-based picks based on our algorithm that's hit winners for the last 2 years.
Didn't that algorithm get you over 70% picks right in the NFL last year?
That's right, Jeff. Thank you. No gimmicks, just the pick we believe in. We're using the promo code Lock It Up this week on Pez'sPicks.com. After that, we're asking for a small donation to keep beating the house.
That's right. Use the promo code Lock It Up, all one word, for a free week of access at Pez'sPicks.com. That's Pez'sPicks.com. Check it out today.
We may live over 5,000 miles from Lincoln Financial Field, but even from that distance, we can clearly see what's wrong with the offense. And we're going to tell you everything about it and how to fix it. So welcome to On the Shane Page. I'm your host, Shane Haff. You can follow me on Twitter at ShaneHaffNFL. And I'm joined by BGN's own film guru, Jonny Page. Give him a follow on Twitter at JohnnyPage9. Jonny, how are you doing this evening?
You caught me off guard there.
Something the Eagles offense never does, by the way.
Yeah, very good. Oh, Shane's firing today. Yeah, the internet speed's very good. The door's open. So let's see if we don't buffer for every 10 points a day. If I do have any problems live, the podcast recording is always perfect. So please go check that out. Yeah, I'm doing well. Like, this team is destroying me in some ways. For those fans that watch the game, I'm not watching that back. I literally have to watch it more than once. I have to record about it. I have to write about it. A bit boring when the same things that I'm seeing are happening. But I must admit, last week I was a bit apathetic about the whole thing. This week I was a bit angry, especially on offense. And we'll get into why, because to me it's just not that hard, some of it. And we're not coaches here, Shane, with fans that watch it. But I really feel like I've got a few points this week that I'd struggle for anyone to disagree with me, because I feel like I can show it very clearly. And I like it when that happens. I like it when the answers present themselves to you. And I think two of my points in particular today, especially about the offense, I feel really good about. So we always say we're going to be quick. We always say the offense doesn't deserve to start with us. But you know what, Shane? The defense doesn't deserve anything this week either. So should we just do the offense? Should we just get it out of the way? Patullo's obviously not been fired. From what they say, they're not making changes. Patullo's press conferences, I think, make me more annoyed. And we spoke about that a couple of weeks ago as well. I don't think he speaks well, and I don't care about how someone sounds in the press conference, but it annoys me just because I feel like he doesn't recognise the issues, which are obvious. I'm not going to go through the offensive stats, but you know how bad they are. They are historically inept in certain ways for a team with this much talent. So shall we just get into the offense and talk about some bad, and we'll do some good, because there was actually a little bit of glimmer of hope in this one. If anything, that makes it more annoying. Because it's just, you should be better. But yeah, where do you want to start?
Yeah, the offense is perfectly fine with me. Let's start with the interception. That's my first point. I put out a Twitter thread, or not a Twitter thread, a Twitter video, so a lot of you might have seen that. But for those of you that aren't on Twitter, you might not have seen me talk about the interception. And so I've got an 8-minute video on Twitter, but I'll kind of run through my thoughts on the interception for the podcast crew. And so, real briefly, and I don't want to make too much of an interception that's Jalen's first interception in over 300 pass attempts, which, by the way, I called. As soon as they said, he's been 278 passes without an interception and it leads the NFL, I said, oh, that's the announcer's curse. We're getting a pick in this game. And we did. But there's a lot that goes into this. First of all, there's poor procedure from the team. They get to the line with about 10 seconds on the play clock, and because they get to the line so late, and because they're going silent count, the defense has the opportunity to disguise things. This is going to be a cover zero blitz, but they're not all up on the line because they know they can wait until Tyler Steen turns and taps the center, and then we're immediately going because there's 2 seconds left on the play clock at that point. And so that's annoying because it doesn't give you time. You can go silent count and get to the line with 20 seconds and run that fake, and see how the defense moves and then get into your play call. Like, there's things like that you can do. So procedurally, there's some issues. Design-wise, I don't like it. And so the Eagles run Dotson on the out route, and they've got Dallas Goedert on like a curl route, and Devontae Smith on a motion route that does nothing because the Eagles never do anything with motion, and then A.J. Brown on a crossing route. And so this looks like it could be cover 1 or cover 0. And I think there's clues that it's cover 0. For example, you don't have outside leverage from your cornerbacks to funnel to the inside help like you would in cover 1. This safety being over the top of the tight end and Jahan Dotson instead of over the two good receivers maybe tips you off that this is cover 0. Okay, so on cover 0 or cover 1, Jahan Dotson's route should win versus both. It's an out route against man coverage with no help, regardless of whether it's cover 1 or cover 0. That said, it's Jahan Dotson. Maybe that's not the guy we want to scheme to in that situation. The problem with A.J. Brown's route is if it does happen to be cover 1, he's running into a safety. And so the only route that can work if this happens to be cover 1 is Dotson. So I get why Hurts starts there. Like, I would just suggest a simple change to this play is just to put Dallas Goedert on like a slant route, because now if it's cover 0, there's nobody in the middle, and this is an easy throw to Goedert with a safety playing off coverage. And if it's cover 1, you still get the opportunity for him to clear, and you're kind of creating some conflict in the middle. So I think it's bad procedure, it's bad design. I think the read to throw it to Jahan Dotson is fine. It's just an out-breaking route that's left high and inside, and you can't do that. And so it turns into an interception. And I don't think we have to make it into a referendum on Hurts that it's not. He doesn't turn down A.J. Brown. He never progresses to A.J. Brown because the Dotson route is open. Now, if you knew it was cover 1, if you knew it was cover 0, maybe you want to throw it to A.J. Brown there because the safety is vacating. But you've also got a guy coming into your lap there because the protection doesn't play out the best either. And so I think it's poor procedure, it's poor design, it's a poor throw. Ultimately, I think the read was fine, though. And I just think there's bigger things to talk about than screenshotting A.J. Brown coming open after the ball's already out of Hurts' hands and saying, oh, he should have thrown it to A.J. So that's my little thing on the interception. I go into it some more on the Twitter video, and we've talked about it a lot in the Discord and drawn up some design things. But that's my thoughts on the interception.
Yeah, obviously I'm going to say nice things about you, but I think you smashed it, Shane. I watched your video on Twitter. I gave you a comment on my BGN article and said I'm openly just stealing all of your analysis, which I did. I linked your Twitter and said I'm just going to write what Shane said because he basically called it exactly how I see it. There's so much good stuff from Kurt Warner this week on QB screenshots and QB misses, and without knowing how they're coached and the read, please stop talking about wide open receivers down the field. Like, it drives me insane. There are things that we can analyze and there are things that we can guess. But if he is told, if they get cover 1, which he thinks they get, Dotson's route is the first read, there is no reason why he would ever look at A.J. Brown. Like, end of. You can post all the screenshots in the world, guys. Like, it's not where he's going. You can have a discussion about should he be coached to do that, and is it a safe thing to keep targeting outside the numbers, and should they be a bit more like direct in the middle of the field and have more first reads centrally? That's fine. You can have that discussion, but you can't just post a guy open and say basically like, he should have gone here because he's open. It's not how these things work, sadly. He's thrown 1 pick in 6 weeks, so as you said, interceptions will happen. Do you know what? It might be a good thing to do it and not have it hanging over him like he might go a whole season with it. Like, you know what I mean? That kind of media narrative that suddenly starts to build. Right, I'm going to talk about run game because I actually think, and this might surprise people, the run game annoyed me more than the pass game this week. The run game was okay, but it was only okay because they had 2 good Saquon Barkley runs. And if you take out those 2 runs, the run game was a disaster again. And the pass game, like, there are lots of moving parts. There are lots of pieces where I can understand why they're trying different things. And Hurts isn't playing well, maybe, and maybe he's missing 1 or 2 throws. And run game is like, I don't get the excuse. They've got a fantastic running back. Whatever you think of the offensive line, it is more than serviceable at worst. And they've got still a tight end 1 who can block. So the run game is ruining me. I've called it run game and sequencing this week. So I'm going to talk about run game twice, actually. My first one's going to be sequencing. You know, I said at the start, I think I've got a couple of things that just no one can argue with me about. Click on play 1 of my film thread, Shane. You probably know where I'm going with this because it's called run game and sequencing. If you pause it pre-snap, the Giants have got 6 in the box against 11 personnel. The safeties are very deep. And the Eagles decide they're going to remember this thing called pin pull, which, you know, we named our whole network about. And they're going to pin, is it 94? Brett 2's going to pin wherever the defensive tackle is on 97. And Juergens is going to pull, because this is when Juergens is good. Not from under center, not having to deal with Dexter Lawrence one-on-one, but being able to get out in space. And they run it, and is it the best run of the year they've had? Was it 17 or 18 yards or something? It wasn't even blocked perfectly, but look at Cam Juergens on the move, look at Steen, and anyone that worries about the running game, I think Saquon Barkley looks phenomenal. I've seen zero fitness health issues from last year. He looks as explosive as he ever has to me. Like, this is a fantastic run. And then here's the thing, Shane. The very next drive, and I was watching the film, and I almost wanted to cry at this point. They line up play 2, sorry, Shane. The very next drive, they line up in the exact same position. Literally identical. If you pause it now, what have you noticed about the box this time?
Extra guy in it.
Look at the safeties. They are seeing pistol. They are seeing Dallas Goedert. They are seeing exactly what we are seeing on film. And I know this isn't ideal for a video podcast, Shane, but if you pause it just after the snap, right? Just after the snap, maybe a second later, watch the 2 linebackers. They are flying downhill. They are not even considering the idea this might be a pass, Shane. If Hurts boots out here, there is nobody there. Look at the amount of space they've got. You have got any slants. Look at the safety as well, by the way. He is flying. And guess what? And yes, by the way, you can go, well, it's not for design because Jordan Mailata gets blown up. But you know what? It's harder to block when look at the way the Giants defender plays this. I think it's Brian Burns. He knows they're not running outside him. He knows it's not play action. The whole defense knows what's coming. Watching the linebackers trigger on this was infuriating because if you boot this, you are like, the amount of space you're going to have, Shane, is bizarre to me. Like, why would you not use what you did on the first drive to make things easier? I mean, honestly, if you just pause it again just before he hands it off, like, look at the linebackers here. They're gone. They're fully gone. Like, it's basically game over if you run any sort of play action here. And to me, I watched this and I was like, it's madness. They have one successful play from pistol, pin pull, which they haven't run much this year. And what do they immediately think? Let's do it again. Rather than think, how do we build off this success? You can't build off success if you run the same play again. And there were other examples I could have pulled from this game. Everyone's seen like the tweets online from loads of guys, Baldy, Emmanuel Cho, speaking about how predictable they are when they run a certain way. And we know that when they're in pistol, they don't run play action. We know that the numbers are absurd. But that one just infuriated me because it was the same formation, the exact same run, even down to a T of Dallas Goedert on the right, pulling Cam Juergens. It was identical. And when you watch the Giants linebackers trigger on it, for those wondering why we don't run play action, I don't know. I think it would work if they did it there, and they just choose not to.
Yeah, that's very frustrating, and it kind of feeds in a bit to my second point. I want to talk about just some of the details and design in this offense. And, you know, this is a team that preaches details, and they preach accountability. And first of all, I'm just going to roll this, but I want you to notice the Eagles go empty in this game 3 times with A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith close to the box, and all 3 times they run the exact same play. It's a little slot out route to A.J. Brown with nothing else in play. 2 times they run it in a row. So A.J. Brown gets that catch, and then they come back and say, hey, you know what? What if we go with the same alignment, the same thing, but this time the Giants are sitting on it, and there's nothing else there. There's no other route that's in play. It's just slot out, win, or we're dead. At least on this last one, Goddard kind of runs a slant route at the bottom of the screen, so there's hypothetically something coming to the middle of the field that Hurts can progress to, but same exact play, same exact alignment, 3 times in the same game, and the defense just sits on it, and you don't have a second route that you can throw to. Then we get into some other details. This is 3rd and 8 in the first quarter. And this is your 2 best receivers on 3rd and 8 running 3-yard hitch routes that even if they were open are well short of the sticks. And then your wide receiver 3 running a dig route into a middle of field safety that's not conflicted because you have no routes in that area, while your tight end jogs out a go route. No chance for any of that to ever work. Jalen Hurts gets sacked. Then, this is a 1st and 10. And the Eagles are going to run a 2-man route concept. 2 guys on routes. The Giants are rushing 4. So the Giants have 7 guys to cover 2. And by the way, when nobody is rushing, your 2 tight ends just stand here. They don't even leak out to be a secondary option. Look at all this space at the top of the field. And then when they do finally go out, they just go to the same place, and one of them doesn't even look back for the ball. Like Cameron Latu looks like he's trying to go block. He never even looks for the ball, and you end up scrambling out and throwing the ball. Yeah, I mean, you get a catch, whatever, but just terrible. Then let's go to mesh, the Eagles staple. Watch this mesh between Jahan Dotson and Dallas Goedert. They couldn't even reach out and touch each other. They're so far apart. And so it's easy to get past it. Hurts gets sacked because we don't execute our core concept. A couple more here. Let's go to this one where you're going to keep your tight end into chip block to help Lane Johnson. Your running back also stays into block, so you're blocking 7 against 4 rushers again. So we're not getting guys out on routes. Everybody's double covered. And then finally, this one's my favorite. Let's go to a 4th and 4 at the end of the game. What concept are you going to dial up for 4th and 4? Let's go empty, and let's run 2 slant routes directly into the curl route from a spacing concept on the other side of the ball. If your inside slant route wins, guess what? He's covered because he's running right into another player. Your outside slant route will never win because the safety is sitting over the top of it and is going to dive down because there's no vertical threat. And then you've got 3 curl routes all to the backside. Now Hurts rips a ball with anticipation to Devontae Smith, who literally is still being held by the cornerback when Hurts separates to throw because there's no other option. And so the Eagles' design is atrocious. The Eagles' details is atrocious. And this offense, like, it's just unbelievable how elementary and how bad this offense is.
The 3rd and 8 play, you sort of glossed over it, Shane. You were too nice. It's a joke. It's like, as I said, we are not coaches. I am not pretending to know any more than anyone in the NFL, but it is laughably bad. Watch Saquon Barkley run out of the backfield here, by the way. Like, I don't understand. I genuinely don't get it. Like, the second, all you got to do is put 6 on the line of scrimmage and then drop 2 of them. And what do you get? You get 4 over 2 and 4 over 2, both sides. Or 3 over 2, 3 over 2 and a deep safety. You can't beat zone like that. You can't win. There is nothing you can do versus zone. And I think the absolute worst one is the play action one you mentioned, where the 2 receivers running routes. You've literally got 2 tight ends standing there. You're playing with 9 men. If you watch the whole rep from Dallas Goedert and Cameron Latu, they literally are irrelevant. They don't need to be there. You are playing 9 versus 11. And then when they run out, they run to the same place, and then you're playing 10 versus 11. There is zero chance. Like, you've got a good offensive line in pass protection. The Giants are good. Either use them to chip, but when they're sending 4, leave 5 into block. You can't beat zone like that. And by the way, they did beat zone sometimes in this game, and I'll show you how later on in some of the good stuff that they did. So it's not in the playbook. It's just they are obsessed with these 2x2 things still, which is driving me insane because we were there last year as well, and it seemed to get better. And now it's got worse again. I'm going to aptly call my second point, Shane. What's the point? And if you have these plays on film, you're more than welcome to show them, but I don't care if you do or not because it's not the plays that matter themselves. So how many QB counter bash runs did the Eagles run in this game, Shane?
1.
How many 6 offensive lineman snaps did they run?
1.
What's the point? I'm genuinely asking, like, what's the point? As an offense, why would you run one play of one thing? Why would you go, we're going to run 1 QB run counter bash in this game? Just 1.
And it works. Your QB just reads it wrong. He's got 25 yards if he reads it right. And your 6-0 line play works too. You get 6 or 7 yards.
And you know what? even if it doesn't work, if you've worked on it, if you've repped it, why are you running any single one play at once? Unless it's like a 4th and 1, it's like a special trick shot, like a special like fake, like outside toss or whatever, like a reverse. I get it. You can run fake plays then. So Hurts reads this badly, and I'm going to say something nasty that would annoy lots of people on the show, but I don't pay Jalen Hurts as a franchise quarterback if I'm not running him. And that may surprise people because I am now seen as a pro Hurts guy. I don't think Hurts is good enough as a pocket passer to be a top 5 paid guy at the position if he doesn't run. Like, don't turn him into a pocket passer. That's not who he is. He's a mobile quarterback who makes really good decisions. Most of the time, it doesn't turn the ball over. The play's blocked really well, as you pointed out. There's a big hole. If you're worried about Hurts getting hit, don't. He can get hit in the pocket. He can slide. He's a big guy. He can take care of himself. Saquon Barkley had like 300 carries last year. He's all right. If you're worried about Jalen Hurts getting hit, don't pay a mobile quarterback, as far as I'm concerned. The Bills don't seem to be too worried about Josh Allen. The Chiefs don't worry about Mahomes running more than ever this year. The Ravens didn't worry when Lamar was running all the time. And I know he's pulled a hamstring, but it's not exactly down to getting hit either. And then they run this 6 offensive line, and it works, like, really well. They pick up 6 yards. It's not the best run in the world. It's 1st and 10, Shane. 3rd quarter, down 3 with 13 minutes left. There are so many other times you could run 6 offensive line. If you've had 6 offensive line once from under centre, what might you do, Shane? Like a couple of drives later, or even on the same drive. Here's a
run
radical
play action
idea.
off of it.
You run play action off it. Like, anyone ever watched any other games in the NFL?
The Eagles don't send 5 out on routes anyways. Just put a 6th offensive lineman on the field and run play action.
But just ignoring that, and I titled it like, what's the point? I'd love to ask the Eagles coaching staff, can I ask you what the point is of running 1 snap off 6 offensive line? It's the whole idea of offense is you sequence things together. That's the whole point. So if you're running 1 singular play, I would genuinely love someone to ask Kevin Patullo and say, just out of interest, why did you run 6 offensive line once? Because it worked. Do you not then think, oh, it's worked, we can build off it? Offense is all about having a successful start and then building off it and sequencing and making the defense not know what's coming. The Eagles had the easiest chance in the world. They've gone under center, which they always do. They've run, which they always do. And they've actually got a successful play. And even then, they've not done it again. I find that sort of mad. To me, you have like your primary runs, like your runs you're going to run a lot. And yes, you might have a few like randomly like isolation plays occasionally. But QB counter bash and 6 offensive line shouldn't be just like a one-off. You can use that to build off it. So yeah, I'd love someone to ask the coach, why would you run 2 plays once the whole game and not come back to them when they work? But sadly, I can't ask him. So we will never know his answer, but maybe that 6-yard run was worth it for that one occasion. If you're Fred Johnson, you're sitting on the sideline like, guys, it worked. Let me back in. But there we go.
I'm going to assume even if somebody asked him, we still wouldn't know, just based on how he answers questions. But yeah. So, all right. My third point on the offense is how to fix the offense.
Should we get some positivity, or very briefly anyway?
Yeah. Well, hold on. Let me give some context first. So then we'll get positive. In the second half of games this year, the Eagles offense ranks 32nd in EPA per play, 28th in success rate, 31st in points per drive, 29th in drives that fail to gain a first down, and 32nd in yards per drive. Okay, now we can get positive. So how do we fix it? I have a simple 7-step plan. Okay, are you ready for this? You can interject as well. Step 1, demote Kevin Patullo.
Yeah.
I hesitate to say the season is over if they don't get rid of Patullo, because the rest of the things I'm going to talk about are so dumbfoundingly simple that surely he's going to do it, but I've seen no sign of it. So, demote Kevin Patullo. Step 1. Number 2, let's run empty some more, but run more than one play out of empty, right? Empty is a cheat code, and I've talked about it so much. It's been a point of so many of these shows for me, but you spread the defense. You force the defense to declare their coverage structure, where the pressure is coming from pre-snap. It simplifies post-snap reads for your quarterback. It creates horizontal separation that can lead to vertical shots. It can lighten the box for the quarterback running game. The only negative is that it takes away the ability to hand the ball to Saquon Barkley. But that's not doing anything right now anyways. And you can build things where you motion him from a receiver spot and snap him at the mesh point, and you could do some run plays. So run empty like 8 times a game. Ditch 12 personnel. I literally don't ever want to see a second tight end on the field again this season. If you want to get heavy and run the ball, put Dallas Goedert on the field and put Fred Johnson on the field and run the ball. And then throw some play action passes off of that. You mentioned it earlier. You got to run Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts is not a pocket quarterback. If you're going to use him as such, then he is not a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. And I don't say that to hate on Jalen Hurts. I say that because what his legs can do in the running game, even if he's not running a lot, is his superpower. That and his deep ball. And if you're taking away the ability to run, then you're kneecapping the whole thing before it starts. And the second half of that superpower is his deep ball. And the Eagles aren't pushing the ball downfield. In this game, Hurts attempted 5 passes downfield of 20-plus air yards. He completed 3. He got a DPI on the 4th. And then he had the overthrow that would have been an 89-yard touchdown. And he's normally going to make that throw. And he just missed it this game. But the Eagles are at their best pushing the ball downfield outside the numbers. So run Hurts, push the ball downfield, run some gap scheme runs, like stick with it and build some play action off of it. The Eagles are so much better running gap scheme than they are zone scheme. And they've just gone from like 37% of their plays being gap scheme runs last year to only 21% this year. So you've got to bring gap scheme back. And then I went through this in the Patreon video. A lot of the plays that the Eagles ran, I just like changed one route and talked about how changing that one route would make the play viable. And it still wouldn't be my favorite, but it would be a lot better. They need to look at the design and design routes that break at different depths, where it's not just hitch route to hitch route on the other side that broke at the same time that we've got no chance to throw and then scramble. You've got to build some things in here. Hit some easy buttons for your quarterback. And there's no reason this offense can't get back on track. The offensive line is not that bad. Your skill position players are good. Like, everything is here except a cohesive strategy to pull it all together, which goes back to number 1. They got to get rid of Kevin Patullo.
Yep. And my goodness, I'm looking through my thread and I realised I didn't even talk about the play in the run game where they decided to run behind Devontae Smith as a lead blocker and A.J. Brown, who A.J. Brown literally doesn't block in the run game. I don't know how much you've noticed this, but like, the guy doesn't block. And do you know what? You can argue if you care or not right now, but he doesn't block. I'm meant to get positive, Shane, but if I'm designing an offense, I'm never running behind Devontae Smith there and A.J. Brown there. Let's do my final point on offense.
By the way, can we just point this out? On this play, on this screenshot, the Eagles are at the line of scrimmage and they're set and they could snap the football. And look at the Giants. We've got 2 guys on the line and we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have 8 guys over the right side and 1 guy over the left. Where do you think this run went?
Yeah, still run to the right.
Yep.
Yeah. Anyway, my final thing is because I'm bored of talking rubbish. We've got a comment, by the way, at Tony. Tony, we'll get to it in a second, actually. We weren't going to, but when we finish, I will very quickly do that play, seeing as you mentioned it and you're in the comments.
I went into it on my past game review for Patreon.
Fair enough. It's also more detail on Patreon. I'll give my very quick sort of thoughts on it. I labelled my last thing like the good stuff. There was some good stuff this week, and I don't want to be that guy who just says do more of the good stuff. It's not that, but it's do more of the things that work. So you mentioned a few of them. Play 6 is an obvious one to me. I'm going to show just 2 plays because I want to get into the defense. This is empty. Now, Shane, what's the Eagles' biggest problem this year on offense? It's going against what?
Zone coverage.
Zone coverage, right. Well, anyone that's ever played Madden knows that when you put a tight end or a running back outside, if they're playing zone, they will often leave a cornerback out there because it's zone coverage. So therefore, the linebackers stay in the middle of the field. So when you play zone and the Eagles line up A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith like this, you're basically going to be able to get a linebacker and a wide receiver. It's sort of that simple. Not many teams will do it differently because cornerbacks don't know how to play like hook zones in the middle of the field. Linebackers don't know how to play like deep thirds on the outside. So if you're playing zone, you sort of have to have linebackers here. Some teams can change it around a little bit. There are things that defenses can do to counter this. But for the most part, if you go empty, you will get Devontae Smith and AJ Brown against linebackers if they play in the slot, if they are playing zone. And this works really well. Like, pass protection is really good. This is how you beat zone. You create a one-on-one matchup. They're a bit unlucky not to score, actually. Again, there's stuff the Eagles do well, which is good. And it's just infuriating that they don't do more of it. And the second play I want to show is play 11, which is one of the only times I've seen the Eagles run a purposeful motion all season long. They use AJ Brown in motion here, and they get him running off the line of scrimmage, which is awesome. And what happens is he gets a really good vertical stretch or horizontal stretch almost instantly because he's running at the line of scrimmage. Look how quickly he gets off the line of scrimmage here. So what does he do? He takes away both the Giants' deep defenders. And what do they end up with, Shane? Not a 2x2. But when Hurts releases the ball, how many players have they got to the left-hand side of the field in Hurts' throwing lane all at once? Four. That's how you beat zone coverage. The only backside route is Devontae Smith, who, by the way, if you look at Devontae Smith, Shane, is wide open. Not blaming Hurts because it's not his read. But wouldn't you see this and go, oh, why don't we try that again? And this time tell Hurts to keep an eye on the isolated route. But of course they don't. They do it once because it works once. And I know you have to run the exact same play the same again, but you can do this in a different way. You can dress it up differently. When the Eagles have purposeful motion and when they actually like do something that's not just 2x2, there are some obvious wins. They had a great shot to AJ Brown down the side. I didn't think Hurts played that terribly in this game. I thought it was like a 6 out of 10. So there were things that were good this week. It's just the bad stuff is so annoying. So annoying. Like, it's so bad. It's like they go from a 6 out of 10, 7 out of 10 offense to a 1 or a 2. Let's very quickly, Tony, if you don't mind, because I want to get to a defense. Shane's already reviewed it, as he mentioned on Patreon. I won't go into too much detail. I would just
real
say,
quick before you do that.
Sorry,
can I throw one more up here? This is a beautiful design. It's my favorite design I've seen on a play this season because now it just simplifies to a go ball to AJ Brown against single high, but
the play's nice. Yeah,
the play's nice because you have Dallas Goedert on a whip route, you have Devontae Smith on a crossing route, and you have Jahan Dotson on a dig route.
Yep.
And so you know what you can do.
Every read within the vision.
You alert AJ Brown, and if you decide not to throw that, you can read this 1 to 2 to 3, and it's literally the only play in 6 games where I've seen 4 reads that are actually in play. And
not
so
2x2. Yeah.
It gets glossed over because it's just a go ball to AJ Brown.
Yep.
But the design, like, I can
do
live
good
with that.
stuff. There is some good stuff there. I mean, they're professional coaches. It's just the other stuff's just so annoying. Right, just very quickly, Tony, and I don't even think you need to necessarily show it that much. If you've got it available, you can. I think it's a really easy play to break down, actually. I think it's a bad throw by Hurts. The reason why it's a bad throw is he should read busted coverage now before he's even released the ball. And the second you read busted coverage, you never overthrow. You always make sure you underthrow it, if anything. Sometimes it annoys me because teams don't score. However, I don't think Devontae Smith runs a very good route either. And I think Devontae Smith does not do a good enough job getting back outside. And this has happened before with this offense. You are often told to throw go balls more towards the sideline because you want to avoid the single high safety. And if you watch how badly Devontae Smith gets pushed off here, he doesn't ever get back outside. He sort of drifts. And if you actually look, he doesn't miss him by far. So I basically think, Tony, it's not a good route. It's not a great play by Devontae Smith, but it's a far worse play by Jalen Hurts. Just because you're pointing out context to a play, and I actually haven't seen your past game analysis, Shane, what you think of this, but just because you are saying there are mitigating factors and there is context doesn't mean you think it's not a bad play. I think it's a very bad play by the quarterback, but I think it speaks to a more of an issue with design or individuals not maybe playing or not taking advantage of the finer details of what they should be doing. How did you see it? Just very quickly, and then we'll do defense.
Yeah, same. I think Devontae Smith should do a better job of pushing back outside. I think it's close, but ultimately you just got to hit that throw.
Yep. And
he normally does.
Final comment from Yako. At what point do they intervene? I'm surprised they haven't. I'm genuinely surprised they haven't. My guess is, when's he was bye week this year? It's
2 more weeks. They get Vikings and then Giants.
Waiting. I think they're giving them 2 weeks. To answer your question, they can't waste it. they'd be absolutely mental to waste any year with Lane Johnson on this offense. When you've got Lane Johnson, you've already seen what can happen to a window and injuries very quickly. Look at the Lions and losing Ben Johnson and stuff. We lost Kellen Moore obviously last year. Whenever you have a chance, you try and win it. They should be trying to win it this year because they've got a franchise quarterback, an extremely talented offense, and the best right tackle, arguably, of all time, who maybe has 2 or 3 years left, maximum. So I'm surprised they haven't intervened. I think they have probably been giving them 2 weeks, would be my guess.
Yeah, and the problem with doing that, instead of doing it on the mini bye now, when you go Giants, Vikings, and then full bye, or Vikings, Giants, and then the full bye, you do it at the bye, you come out and you go at Green Bay versus Detroit at Dallas. And so you've got 3 really tough games back to back to back right after the bye. I mean, Dallas's defense stinks, but still, it's wasting time, and it's a move that should have been made.
Yep, I agree with you.